It doesn't get easier watching that. That's our doorbell. Don't they know we've got a Zoom going on? I'm going to pass you over to Sarah, who wants to say a few words. I have just hit record on this. I forgot to do it at the beginning. There's a lot going on. So yeah, pass you over to Sarah.
Hello, and in the quote of Han, welcome ladies and jelly spoons, as he would say. Some of you may know me as Smack, some of you may know me as Sarah, some of you may know me as Kate, but it's still me, and we're all here to celebrate Han. And I can see from the screen that there's people from all over the world, and you may be in a place now, but Han and I may have met you somewhere completely else as well. So there's lots of people from different walks of life, and thank you for coming, and thank you for celebrating. Han would be absolutely privileged and honoured. And the first people I would like to speak is our good friends Anne and Ken. Anne and Ken actually introduced Han and I together, so I think aptly they are ideally the first people to say a few words on. So thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. I mean, that was an amazing film. Great to remember him in that way. We have written something down, but we may sort of interject if things come up. And Han was the best type of friend. The type of friend who would walk over broken glass for you. From first meeting him at the Belfast Circus School, Han played an amazing part in all our mad schemes and ideas, from Penguin People through Belfast Unbound with Sarah, through our more latest crazy schemes and running an art gallery. Many of these were inspired, if that's the right word, by late night after hours drinking with Han that continued to many a morning. The various exotic blends that Han would have discovered over his travel and forced, if that's the right word, upon you before he started juggling with hatchets in your living room, which seemed like a good idea at 5 in the morning. When one of our events needed another act, he was quite happy to step up, and he had never walked in broken glass before, but he thought he would give it a go. So he ended up smashing all these glasses across the floor of the black box and then walking across it. It did work, but he didn't actually know it was going to work. He had read that it would and had such confidence in what he had read that he just did it. It didn't matter about the insurance and the audience and everything else, what they paid to see. He was that sort of person. He was the star of the show, even if he wasn't supposed to be part of the show. And everything he did, it was with a twinkle in his eye, an abundance of goodwill and cheerfulness. We and all his friends are poorer for his passing. That's all we can really say. We will miss him every day.
Yeah, thank you. Nev, are you there? I'm wondering if you could unmute yourself and say a few words about Han. Nev is our dad's oldest and dearest and probably most bonkers friend.
I'm here.
Now, you're echoing because you and Rose have both got your iPads on.
Yes.
Yes. So if Rose
take one off, Rose.
turn yours off and
We did that for the effect, actually.
You'll just have to learn how to share.
Yeah.
I do.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Is that better? Yes. Okay. All right. You want him? Yes. Okay. Right. Good evening, one and all. For a lot of people won't know us. In fact, I guess most of you don't know who we are. My name's Neville Knight, and together with Rosemary, my wife, and 2 sons, we're Fisher family friends. We've known Han since he was a babe in arms, and we saw him growing up. We don't live in Scotland. We visited once a year maybe, or sometimes twice. But watching Han grow up was a bit like what a time-elapsed film, because we only saw him in sort of little shots all the way up. And it was obvious that at one stage he learned to read, and that's when he got his eureka moment and books became his holy grail. He devoured them like nothing. And there was a time, certainly, I don't remember how long it went for, when his bedroom was certainly very Gothic, very dark. However, we chatted a lot, and we both found we had a mutual interest in people like the Goons and Tom Lehrer. And I know Han sent me a Tom Lehrer tape that he'd got, which I still have upstairs in the loft somewhere, but of course I've nothing to play it on these days. There are things, of course, these days that you can go and look, like, I don't know, YouTube and Spotify. Other providers are available, but T&C supply. Milligan did produce some wonderful things that Han loved, and he laughed a hell of a lot about these things. And basically, he was just a super guy. We really loved him. And I'm going to finish with a little poem that I know, a Milligan poem that I know he would laugh at. It goes like this. It's not very long. If I die, remember this of me. He left us owing £6.80p. Thanks.
Thank you, Nev. Thank you. He was a big fan of the Goons. Do you know, he actually said he can remember the moment that the words made sense when he was learning to read. It was such a pivotal moment in his life that he remembers the moment where all of this stuff just came together and made sense. And after that was it. He never stopped reading, did he? I'm sure everybody who's on here could tell us a book that Han has recommended that they've loved. Probably start with this book. But thank you, Nev. We will.
Okay.
We will pass on.
I was happy to do it. Not happy, but pleased to do it.
Yeah. We appreciate it. If you could just mute yourself again, and then we'll let Rose back in. And if it's possible, Marty O'Connor, are you around? Could you please unmute yourself? I think you're there.
Yeah, Martin O'Connor.
Oh, Martin. Hi, how are you doing?
Yeah. I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for joining us. Please take the screen.
Oh, I wasn't expecting to say anything. First time I met Han, we were having a cigarette beside his car and it was raining. It was a mountain rescue exercise. He just joined the team, training exercise. And I said to him, but we used to have these conversations and you couldn't stop them, Han. You had to ask the next question and you were frightened to ask it sometimes. And I said, can we get into your car and smoke? And he says, no, there's no room. I said, why not? He says, there's a bed of nails in the car. I had to ask. A sensible person would walk away at that point. This man has a bed of nails in his car. Maybe, I'm not safe. Why do you have a bed of nails in the car? He says, because I get somebody to lie down on it. Right. Why do you get somebody to lie down on a bed of nails? I put a concrete block on their chest. And at this point, you should be walking away. You know what I mean? Getting before social distancing, not 6 meters, 60 meters. And say, well, why do you put a concrete block on their chest? He says, I smash it with a hammer. Why do you smash it with a hammer? The audience loves it. And at that point, it starts to make sense. But that was Han to me. That was continually Han. Any conversation you had with him, it just continued on. And you're really frightened about where it was going to go next. But you were compelled to ask. So it wasn't. I'll always remember him for that. For that type of thing. That's really all I've got to say. So I miss him, of course, but that's it.
Yeah, I think good story. It's a good story, definitely. I remember the bed of nails. I stayed over in his house in Belfast and bent over to pick something out of my bag and pinched my bum on a bed of nails, and it was the weirdest experience ever. But
yeah,
many weird experiences with my brother, and they were all pretty awesome. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Thank you.
Bill Lobbin. I'm going to give you a shout up next. If you could unmute yourself and come and have a chat. Bill Lobbins known Han for a long time. We were part of the Cairngorm Ski Club, Han and I. He did lots of the fixing of things, not races, and I did lots of racing of races. But yeah, Bill, I think you're about somewhere. I saw Jen.
Yes, we are.
There you are. Hello. Please come and fill the void that I'm desperately trying to fill.
It's okay. You know, there are some things that money just can't buy. And probably the most precious of them are memories. You know, everyone who knew Han will have their own special memories. It could be when he was a wee boy. That's if Han was ever a wee boy, because I always refer to him as the big guy. Or it could be when he grew up to be the happy, caring young man with such a love of life that we all knew. I especially remember a few years back when I was in the middle of my own health crisis and when I really needed cheering up. The first people who came to visit me were Alan and Han. It wasn't something he had to do. I think it was something that he wanted to do. I guess that was just the man he was. I also remember those fabulous days on Cairngorm and what phenomenal company he was. And for many years, I always thought he was the big brother that my daughter never had. The world's a sadder place without Annis Fisher. So when the sad times come, as they undoubtedly will, Sarah, Rosie, Alan, and Jen, just think of the good times, the happy times, the memories of the incredible person that will stay with you forever. And that may help the sadness pass for even a short time. It's been an honor and a privilege to have known you, Han, and my own personal memories will stay with me forever. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. That was lovely. There's no prizes for who makes me cry, because I cry all the time just now anyway. Next, we've got Chris, who went to uni with Han. Chris Hall. I saw you coming in. Where are you? Unmute yourself. Come and have a chat. Quick.
Greetings. Is
Hi.
that working?
Hiya, Chris.
Is that working? Yeah, so as you say, I first met Han in West Park Halls in Dundee, hence I'm wearing my pink Dun Nighty top, as you do. And we didn't make friends first of all, because I thought we were a bit far away in the halls. And then obviously meal times and passing, we obviously got together as mates and remained that well until today, essentially. So that's I probably have different experiences being a student with Han, because obviously we were both 19 years old. I'm 11 days older than Han. I never let him forget. Because when we finished in the first year, I went to, I was waiting for a flat to be the keys for my place, and he'd already got his keys for his new place, where he lived with Andy P. McKenzie, who I think is on here as well, in the second year. So we had a bit of as term finished, we had a bit of a window where we moved in together. And obviously we weren't studying as such, because we were having a bit of basic time off. And it was like 2 or 3 weeks where we just got really, really close and did some bizarre things. We woke up one morning and we both scratched our head, looked at the carpet. It was a dark blue carpet. And it's like, mate, why is there a pentagram drawn in salt on the carpet? And we just looked at each other and went, we were pissed, weren't we, last night? That's kind of how it works. And I remember we decided we thought we were drinking too much and we were going to put a health kick, and we thought it was a Sunday evening, and I didn't really cook at university. And actually, one thing Han did teach me actually was to cook, even basic stuff like rice and pasta, and do it properly. And I've had a passion for that ever since. And that's obviously carried on in my lifetime. But we'd gone to Tesco's. And we bought, I think, some pasta and chicken, and we were going to have a night of drinking, but we thought, what we'll do, we'll buy a bottle of white wine just to be civilized with that. And we sat down and stuff, and Han cooked the meal, and we ate that. And we were sitting there. Han was buried in a book. One book he recommended to me was Catch 22. I don't read books, but I love that book. So he had his head in a book. I had my head probably in FHM or Loaded Magazine in comparison. And because it was out of term time, the union was closing early, or you couldn't get in the union after 9 o'clock. And we thought, that's fine, we can have a night in, just quiet, just maybe have a coffee and maybe have a quick cigarette and stuff there, then we'll have just a quiet night. And you could just see, it was about 10 to 9, looked at my watch, and Han looked at his watch. We both looked at the same time. He says, let's go to the union. So we jumped up, and the union was probably about 10 minutes walk away. And I thought, it's now about 5 to. Now, I don't think how I'm saying this, because it's very similar that way. We are built for comfort rather than speed. But we ran down from Petty Street into the union and made it on time. And yeah, that's it. And that night we got pissed again, didn't we? I was trying to find a word to sum Han up, and I think the word I came up with was unorthodox, and that's that in such a positive possible way, because it was always a bit strange with Han, but it was never. It was always positive, and you never quite knew what you were getting. But as I got to know the guy, nothing surprised me after that. It's one of those situations there, and say it's a friend for life, and for memory-wise, it won't go away quickly. He'll stay with me for the rest of my life, and hopefully everyone else will do the same.
Thanks, Chris. I remember him telling me about a night in the union where it was running like the stock market. Were you there that night?
Yeah,
like,
I
the
helped.
more beer got drunk, the more expensive it became. So the cheaper gin and tonics were.
That's right. Yeah. At one point, we ordered, I think, 17 single gin tonics because doubles were more expensive. So I helped organise it. It was, it's called Bar Footsie. The share index and stuff. Did it a few times over the years, but that was a fun night. And we dressed up. I dressed in my suit with braces to go down there to do it properly. And I'm not sure. I've not seen Coverley on here yet, but maybe here somewhere. But
she's here. Coralie, are you about?
But we've got Coverley started talking, instead of being very posh, like an extra from EastEnders, because she's from London. Then we had to sort of carry her home because we got her a bit drunk. Sorry.
Yeah, Bar Footsie was lethal, absolutely lethal, and it was gin and tonics.
It was definitely gin and tonics.
Yeah, horrendous, but yeah, it was good times.
I have a terrible gin and tonic story. I fell out with gin a while ago, and I don't think we're ever going to be friends again. So, yes. Anyway, thank you very much, the two of you, for that. We've got Graham Stambridge from Northwest Mountain Rescue. Are you around, Graham? If you unmute yourself and pop in. Hi, nice to
Hi, Sarah. Hi, Jen. Hi, everyone. First of all, well done for hosting this. I have an idea what you're going through. I've lost a few family members to the same condition, so you're certainly not alone there. So well done for this. And hopefully we can share a laugh and a cry about it too. I'm really coming from two perspectives here. One, first of all, from the Mountain Rescue, and also really from a friend as well. Now, it was Divis Mountain just outside Belfast in June 2008 when I met Han. And it was my first training session of the Mountain Rescue, and I think immediately we hit it off, really because we both had a sense of adventure, and I think he was just glad to meet another person in the team who climbed as well. But what was most initially notable about Han was his own unique command of the English language, and I think we all know that already. And no matter what bollocks we talked about, he made it fun and interesting. Now, me being an old soldier, I used to have plenty of tall tales to tell him, and he always threatened to write a book about it and make his fortune, but alas, I don't have his intellect, so I see it as a missed opportunity there. Han would have regularly attended some of our house parties there, and he always brought a more fun edge to it. First of all, he's always younger amongst this middle-aged crowd, and he'd hold their attention with eloquent descriptions of how carabinas work or street entertainments. Again, my kids loved him. He had his flaming wallet. He would juggle items of various sizes and shapes. So he was always the life and soul of a party, certainly. He never took life too seriously. And certainly at one party, a guest raised the point the beer was out of date, or some of the beer. Now, in my defense, I don't drink a lot of beer, and it was probably held over from the previous year. Well, of course, a discussion then took place and whether it was good for you, whether bad. But I was watching from a distance, sort of trying to keep a low profile. And I watched Han, and he scrutinized the bottle, and he turned his head to the side and read the date, and he shrugged his shoulders and downed the bottle. Now, speaking with him later, he says, yeah, your beer okay? Well, if everyone's complaining, I just see it as an opportunity of more beer for me. So he always saw everything as an opportunity. He had a style, and it was his own style. But yet I found there was a real innocence about him as well. Now, I never really analysed it before he passed there, but I do believe that his innocence was with an openness and conversation. He really showed you his soul. Now that's something I try to emulate, and I've rarely come across an individual, so it almost made him unique as well. During his years in the Mountain Rescue, he was certainly dedicated to it. He was probably one of the best attendees at both training and at operations. He was extremely popular, of course, and he commanded respect too, because he never lost focus of the job in hand. And that was demonstrated. We had a training exercise up near Dungunnell Dam in the Antrim Hills, and our brief was to recover the casualty on the stretcher, but time was of essence. So that was the real more haste, less speed, things like that. So we found the casualty relatively quickly. We packaged them up, get them ready for transportation. And then a discussion started about, do we lift the casualty onto the stretcher and the stretcher onto the wheels, or do we put the stretcher onto the wheels and lift the casualty on? And this went on for about 2 minutes until there was a grumble, a real growl from Han through gritted teeth. Just lift the fucking stretcher. Well, the rest of the exercise was just conducted in complete silence in case he took another thrashing from his tongue. But despite being an adopted Irishman, or I suppose to appease some of the audience, maybe adopted Northern Irishman, like Sean Connery, he always considered himself and remained a Scot at heart. Saying that, he was also true to himself and to his friends. We probably all remember very similar traits about Han. His cheeky grin, his use of language, and certainly his unexpected witty proclamations bursting into places. To me, this demonstrated that he was the same to everyone. Something, again, I tried to emulate, and there was no smoke and mirrors about him at all. And not only am I honoured to call him a teammate, but also a friend. So that's why tonight, you know, I'm very much honouring him with a dram tonight and a toast. So Slán Giovanni, everyone, and to Han.
I have great memory, Graham, of being in your house with the axe throwing event. The axe throwing. And Jen told me yesterday or the day before that Han had told her that he was rather impressed that I could throw a two-handed axe very well.
And hit both targets. He said
Very.
when he got married, how proud he was that his future wife was able to throw 2 axes and hit 2 targets at the same time and with precision. And we talked about this because in February, it was my birthday, and in March, it was his birthday. And we talked about going and doing some axe throwing together, but we never got the opportunity to do that. So I think one of our jobs in the coming months, when coronavirus finally goes away, is to go and do some axe throwing. But I'm slightly scared because Sarah is obviously very good at this.
Well, not to worry,
Stand
I'll
behind the line.
look after you. But Han enjoyed it immensely. We had a tremendous night that
Well, we do it regularly, so I suppose this is part of a second life where we're still talking about it and remembering Han as we do it as well.
Yeah, this is true. This is very true. Thank you very much for putting that together. It's really nice for us to hear about his life in Northern Ireland, especially for the family, because you know we didn't really get to see that side of him. We heard his stories. We heard a fantastic story about picking up a casualty, and he had his radio in his kangaroo pocket at the front, and as he leaned over, the radio fell out, and he had this whole moment of trying to catch the radio before it landed on the casualty. I think it was okay. Nobody's ever spoken about it since. There was Aidan. I'm not sure if Aidan's actually managed to get back from work yet, but he had wanted to join in and say something. I can't see him on the list. But is there anybody else who would like to say something?
Hi, Jen. I wouldn't want to be word,
Hi,
if possible.
of course.
Hi, Kate.
Hello, Sarah. How you doing? Well,
You good?
silly question. So I knew Han. We met through Mountain Rescue, and he, at the time, Han was the section leader of where I was moving to, and I was moving from Inniskillen to Belfast. So when it moved for jobs, and I thought, well, actually, I better let Mountain Rescue know. So called Han, like, by the way, dude, just better let you know I'm moving up to your section. Hope that's all right and everything. And like Han being Han, instantly offered me somewhere to live. I'm like, you know, he's like, dude, do you know you don't know where to live? It's like, fuck, I hadn't even thought about that. And like, there we go. And that was just Han through and through. Yeah. I have to say, it's like I lived with Han for like 2 months, and it was the longest and the best 2 months of my life. I've never experienced anything like that before. I'm quite a clean freak, and I like everything in its place. There's a place for everything and everything in its place. Han's not like that. Han wasn't like that.
No.
But even then, it was hard to move out. It was really hard. I loved living with Han. It was great. Sorry.
Sorry.
Um,
Our barman
It's
just brought us
definitely,
a
I
couple.
can see you guys having lots of good times together.
oh man,
Lots of silliness, lots of climbing.
crazy stuff. It was, yeah.
Rescuing
Um,
the Kai on the local news, and you and Han had to go rescue the Kai. The farm, was it Connor's Kai?
My goodness, totally forgot about that. Shorty the cow.
Tell us
We're actually on the flipping news of rescuing a cow.
How did the cow get stuck?
Oh, I think it just wandered down there. It wandered down there, but Mountain Rescue got brought in to like fish it out again.
Well,
Right.
Han and James fished the Kai out.
Yeah.
Fell into a sinkhole. That's where it went, a sinkhole.
It's funny actually that day. I remember it came close with Han even that day. Like a rock fell down and hit him on the back of the head, and he was all right, thankfully. But that was Han, wasn't it? He lived life to the max. He really did. He just went for it. Such a great guy. I think the one thing I'm going to take away, and I think is the thing about the 3 stages of death when people stop speaking your name. Han will live on in me forever because he just his attitude towards life and people, his attitude towards people that needed help. He was always there for. He was always there for them, and yeah, it's taught me a lot. It has. It's taught me a lot. So I'll always be there for people that need me, and Han was there for me when I needed him. So yeah.
Thank you.
Cheers, Han.
You definitely had a place in his heart. He was very fond of you, Jim.
He really was. I heard a lot of James Brown and the kid stories. So
The kid.
yeah,
Yeah,
you should know that you were very loved.
that was his
Yeah.
nickname for you, the kid.
The kids. So cheers.
Him.
Thank you very much.
No, cheers.
Is it? I saw that my cousins were actually on. We've got Simon and Richard here. I don't know if you guys, hi. I don't know if either of you want to say anything or not. You don't have to.
Richard's much better at talking than I am. Go for it, Rick.
Go on.
It's lovely to see you, and it's fantastic to be on and share this with you.
It's lovely to see you guys.
It
too.
really is lovely to see you, and we're so sad.
I know, we all are.
Yeah.
We'll meet up, we'll go skiing and meet up and
We can't wait.
post them on the slopes, yeah?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, sounds good.
I'm trying to unmute, but I can't. I am muted.
Hello, cousin Rick, I can see you and hear you.
Fantastic.
Hi.
Well, the only thing I can say is I'm very embarrassed about the last words that I shared with Han on messages on Facebook. And Jen, I don't think we're going to go there.
I haven't looked through that, so you're safe and it's fine. I have no interest in any of his messages. For everybody who's listening, I have control of his digital stuff, but I'm not interested in what he said to you guys, although I'm sure that it was all filled with either extreme black humor or love.
It was, and you know, Mum and Dad have also sent their absolute love and regards, and you know, it's and said they can't be on today, but they do pass on all their love and respects and everything like that. So the only thing, I've got so many memories of Han, and a few of them, he came to stay with me on a number of occasions when he was working on the wind turbines. I've got 3 kids. He made little door carvings for each one of them. He was absolutely fantastic. He always sent a message when you needed one. And yeah, what can I say? I never got to ski with him, you know, and I'm quite glad of that, because I'm absolutely shocking at skiing. So I think it would have been extremely embarrassing for me. And the rest of the family would have been fine, but you know, we're going to miss him. All I can say, I'm going to keep it short and sweet. We're going to miss him massively, and yeah, we're going to remember him for a very long time.
Of course we will. Thank you. Cheers. We're on the
Cheers.
Schnapps now. We've seen our Austrian family there.
Oh, we have some of that beer as well.
Anne was always very fond of Outback in Austria, and I can see that we've got some of the Austrians. Hello, these schnapps are for you, Prost. Aidan, I see that you've just joined in. How are you, and would you like to have a few words? I saw you somewhere.
It's all multiple screens, isn't it?
I know. I will find him. There you are.
Yeah, I just need to put the oh God, bloody hell.
You just in the door.
Oh my God, there's so many options. What the fuck?
What do you need? What option do you need? We can see you and we can hear you. So
Oh no, all right. Well, that's fine. Yeah, not quite just in the door, but yeah, pretty much. Let me see if I can show you some pictures.
Sorry, we can come to.
Who's that? Can you see that?
We can't see your screen, no.
Fuck.
You need to do the share screen thing.
Yeah, I thought I had.
Yeah.
Let me point out that Aidan is actually super smart.
We will get there.
Well, I heard of Aidan before I met Aidan, so Aidan's reputation and Han's silliness were preceded. So it was a pleasure to meet Aidan whenever I came to England. And it was lovely to find another fellow Northern Irish guy when I got here.
I met Aidan when I went to visit Han when he was students, and we popped round to Aidan's flat, and Aidan was the person that first introduced me to juice boxes, or boxes of wine, as most people call them. But they were fantastic, and I took that back to Aberdeen with me. The thought of what's the point in buying one bottle when you could buy a whole box. Well, Aidan popped off and now he's coming back. So
Maybe working his technical stuff.
once he's got the technical thing sorted, then I think we're pretty much at the end. If anybody else wants to say anything, just shout in the chat section or.
Jen,
Yeah. Hi.
hi.
Oh, hang on. Aidan's about to share some pictures.
Oh,
Jim will come back to you.
no problem. Thank
Right, Aidan. We can see your screen, but you're muted. So if you can unmute yourself.
Oh, there we go. Yay.
Ah, hey! We have pictures and sound. Hooray!
God, it looks so dark, doesn't it? I've just got a few little pictures to share with you. There were so many stories I wanted to tell you about. So let me get my post-it. Hang on.
Of course. There were so many stories, but you managed to fit them all on a post-it.
Next to the stamp.
Written in code.
Yeah, I'm sorry I've just joined you. Has anyone talked about the canoe in Hans' room at Halls of Residence?
No.
Not yet.
Okay, right. I'm not going to do that, but there was a canoe. I could talk a bit about scuba diving. I've written down here nightclubs in Belfast with angle grinders and Nicky. Did anyone talk about the toga party with the gold lame loincloth?
No.
No, okay. No, I'm not going to talk about that either. That remains between us. Did anyone talk about, is Chris there?
Yes, Chris is here.
Talk about when I went for my elective 2000, the year 2000, Han and Nicky and Chris turned up at my door at 2 o'clock in the morning to see me off. They were with me that evening, and I was going off to Kathmandu and Thailand for 8 weeks. And I got up on my own, and the taxi arrived, and all of them were outside. Just typical. Did anyone talk about the tent outside Grimsby?
No, not yet.
No.
Oh, God. So whilst I was having an absolute nightmare in Hull with training, Han, he was really close to me. He was just across in Grimsby, but he was really happy because he couldn't fly across to the wind turbines because the weather was terrible, and he was fucking delighted. Yes. Okay. So instead of that, I thought I'd tell you a story about this house. Can you see the picture? Yeah. You can see the screen, yeah. Okay, so this, like Han, I had a little sabbatical in England. It's just mine turned out to be 10 years in Northeast England and Yorkshire. But Yorkshire's basically like Scotland in England. And I've been trying to get back ever since, and I only managed it about 2 years ago. And for some fucking reason, I decided to take on this house, and Han's been there to help me with it. And so I've got this little shot just to show you of the scale of the task that I took on. And you'll see there's paddocks kind of either side of it, and the one on the left, it's like a marshland. It's just so wet, and so I decided that I would get a digger. And I didn't have the nerve to do it on my own. So I said, Han, will you come? So he said, absolutely. So he came up. Yeah, you can see how wet the fucking ground is. A lot of it has changed since then, although the house just looks equally as shit on the outside. So we got, I threw money at it. I brought a tractor. And this is my daddy driving the tractor through the rushes. That wasn't going to work, so we had to get the digger. Even when Dad cut it, it still, it looked all right, didn't it? However, the digger came, and this is Han in the digger. They were supposed to send me a 1-ton digger, but it turned out that it wasn't really up. It came back from higher, and it wasn't good enough. So they sent me this one instead, which is 2.5 tons. Which turned out to be a bit of overkill. However, we cracked on. We laid out some lines, and we drew. I think you can just sort of see the string line along there. The pair of us were so fucking excited. You have no idea. So we got on with it and we broke ground, and he was down in the ditch. We were so pleased with ourselves. And we dug the trenches, straight lines. I mean, that's not too bad, is it? That's all right. And I think you can see in the distance there was about 6 tons of pea shingle that we were going to put in the ditches. The thing is, we didn't really think this through. Because as you can see, the thing filled with water, and it's meant to fill with water. The trouble is that if you look in the distance, the farmer's field away up to the west is much higher than my fields. So we managed to drain the entire farmer's field, about 6 acres of it into about my ½ acre. So that I mean, we enjoyed ourselves, and you know, he took off his gloves that day, Jen, and he tucked them into a strap in my jet ski, which is just out the back door, and they're still there to this day.
You might have needed that jet ski, going by the look of those your moat.
Yeah, and he said to me, "Oh, those gloves were probably knackered anyway, but they're still there, and you know what? They're going to fucking remain there, as far as I'm concerned."
Absolutely.
So after we really enjoyed ourselves, but we completely fucked it up. I had to get a professional in. Oh, but before I did that, what did I do? Well, I threw more money at machinery.
Why not?
So I bought that to try and help me, and then I bought that to try and help me as well, but neither of these things actually worked. So I got this fella in, and this lad called Graham came from Glasgow, and he was really reluctant to give invoices or quotes or anything like that. And then he turned up in this VW that's got an Isle of Man number plate, and I thought, oh my God, he's got curly hair like Gypsy. And I sent him that picture, actually. However, he did the business with an even bigger digger, and he made an absolute fucking mess of it. It was just an absolute swamp. So yeah, Hannah's seen these pictures as well. What I didn't count on was that the Scottish weather would just continue to rain and rain and rain. So the whole thing just got worse and worse. That's the back of my house. However, the summer came and things dried out. He filled in all the trenches that Hannah and I had dug, and dug fresh ones and put them much higher up in the ground. And then gosh, this was just about 2 months ago. Actually, it's all good. It's all good. Whilst he was here, excuse me, can you give it a fucking rest? Stop it.
Aidan's got dogs, for anyone that wants.
Thank you. Yeah, it's not children. There's no abuse here. Yeah, so while he was here, we had a lot of bonfires. This was one of them as it was dying down. And what you can't see is along the top, just above the horizon, are power lines. And when SSE came to replace a transformer, they said to me, "Oh my God, you can't burn underneath that. It's like total death, instant death." Which, as we were burning stuff quite happily, and Han was chucking things on, I did say to him, "Do you know what? We probably ought to ease off a little bit." And he was like, "Oh shit, yeah, probably." Okay. So anyway, yeah, we had a lot of bonfires. The project's not finished yet. And this is just a wee picture that I took from a message that he sent to me, which is typical humour for him. I love the contractor noises. I love the thoughtful hum, the expensive suck of air over teeth. And then I don't think I've got the parts in the van, mate. And of course, that's exactly the kind of thing that I was looking for, and that's why I was always welcome to come and work with me, because he knew exactly what I was looking for, and I was delighted to have him. And then the last little picture is this one, which Sarah, I don't think you have. That was one on my crappy mobile phone, but I love it. Love it.
I love it too.
We were both very happy, and we were absolutely very happy both yourself and for two representatives. Because Jen said I probably would have went off and did it by ourselves, but we were forced with COVID to have witnesses. So thank you for being our witness, Jen.
Oh, I wouldn't have missed that for the world. And you know, the weather, I thought the weather was shit that day in Glasgow, but Jesus, on Wednesday it was even worse.
It was even shitter, wasn't it? Yeah,
It was, it was.
on a rainy day.
It was. But just, do you see the joy in that picture? I can love it.
I have my dress up today.
Can I just speak briefly about Han's love of fire? This is something that we knew from a young age, that he was interested in fire. He was intrigued with fire breathing and fire eating, and apparently he used to practice in his bedroom. And this is something that none of us knew as a family. We didn't know this. And he had one incident when he was fire breathing or fire eating. I hope fire eating rather than breathing. And he burnt off an entire eyebrow. And we didn't know. The family didn't know because he coloured his eyebrow in with a biro pen for all of his eyebrow to grow back. And I didn't find out until about 10 years ago that this had actually happened. But it doesn't surprise me because, you know, that's who my brother is he's a constant surprise. Yes. There was always something new, and there was always something super exciting, and he was always really keen to share it with people. And I think certainly what we've learned as a family from everybody sharing their own memories and their own thoughts and experiences and events that with Han, it's been amazing for us to find out. Mum said actually in an email that, you know, the one positive thing about your child dying before you is that you get to see what people actually think of him. And I think the overriding thing that we've seen from what everybody's saying is, you know, how fun he was, how much he lived life, and how much of a gentleman he was, and how much he was there for his friends. And it's been so comforting for us to hear these stories, because these were all the things that we knew we'd spent so long with him. But it's so nice to see that everybody else thought of him in the same way that we did. So
Jen, do you know the job's not finished, hon?
What the fuck have
I've already signed up for it.
Listen, I'm gonna need both of you to come and do the rest of it. There's fucking loads to do.
Dave's here as well. He's actively shaking his head.
Nodding, Jen.
Nodding. He says, "Yes, I'll help." Aidan, anytime. You know,
oh, lovely. Thank you. I'll be delighted.
Han's friends are our friends, and I think, you know, we're all in this together, and it's been really tough for everybody. It's been shit, to be quite honest. It's been awful, but what's kept us going is how kind people have been. So thank you everybody for all the things that you've said and sent, and some flowers arrived actually whilst we were on the phone here. So whoever sent those, thank you. Yeah, it's been really tough, but to have the support of everybody has been so important, and I hope that this has been good for you as well, that it's given everyone an opportunity. In fact, Jim and Roz,
yes,
that's who I need to ask to come up next. Sorry, Jim, I'm forgetting myself. Where are you? Can you unmute yourself, please?
Okay, Jen.
Hi, sorry.
Look, no problem. No problem. I'm sitting here drinking the last present Han ever gave me, and it's a bottle of sloe gin. As some of you know, that Han lived beside Beaver Forest in Belfast, and he gathered sloes, and he did sloe gin. He gathered elderberries and elderflower and made wine.
It was awful.
And I had this bottle, which he gave me a long time ago, and we said we would drink it together. So I'm drinking it with Rosalind.
You're drinking it with everyone. We're all together.
Cheers.
We are.
Han.
To Han. Thank you, Jim.
And just one last thing. One of his first friends talked about Han having the bed of nails in the back of his car. Guilty. I made the bed of nails. And we all know who used to hold the concrete blocks, because I built a bed of nails so that Han could smash concrete blocks that my daughter was holding. And the trust we both had in Han, I think, speaks volumes that he did it more than once. I'll never forget him.
Yeah.
Never.
Wonderful chap. Somebody actually said to me earlier that Han is the only person who legally has been allowed to throw his wife off the top of a building.
Yes, yes, that was Sarah.
Yeah.
No, the first time I met the guy, he was brought back from Dundee University for an Easter break. And I happened to be working at the time, and Rosalind, she picked the kids up from the boat, and typical, they met friends of Nicola's, and they didn't come home, they went into Belfast. And that couple are very good friends of Han's. And Rosalind said to me, I phoned her from work and I said, "You okay? Did you get it?" "Oh, yeah. They said they should be home by the time you get home." So we were sitting there and in walked Han, and, total fashion statement, bone through the nose, army greatcoat, the longest set of DMs I'd ever seen, and the head, and I thought, what's this about? But I sat and we talked and we talked and we talked, and I thought, this guy is the biz. He's a very interesting guy. And everybody else went to bed, and Han and I sat having beer and solving most of the world's problems. And the last thing I said, "Han, great to meet you." I said, "But I'm going to give you one piece of advice. You only get one chance to make a first impression. And your first impression was SH1T. But I was lucky enough to sit with you for an hour. And honestly, you're a top bloke." And
I see Phelan there. Is Phelan still out?
sorry.
I was just seeing another screen. I was just wondering if Phelan was about. Phelan?
Sorry?
Million?
I saw on the screen there.
Oh, sorry, someone else wanting to speak.
Do we have to?
Wieland seems to have dropped off.
Oh, there he is. I see you,
there.
Phelan. Yeah, hi, Phelan. I remember.
Hi, sorry, yeah, well, my microphone.
You on the video?
Yeah. Hello, everybody.
Hello, Phelan. I
Um,
remember meeting you in Goethe Plaza, and you
Yeah.
had a towel over your shoulder. And
Yeah.
I was speaking to Han when I was in Germany, and Han was in Belfast, and I said, Wieland I was talking about? Well, I saw him in Goethe Plaza, and he had a towel on his shoulder, and Han went, "Of course he is." And you can explain to us why? Why did you have a towel on your shoulder?
Oh, yeah. There's the Towel Day. It's a celebration day of Hitchhiker's Guide Through the Galaxy. And yeah, it's every year. not sure when, somewhere in May, yeah, I guess. I have a reminder in my calendar for it, and yeah, to celebrate this great book. Yeah, you just put on a towel over your shoulder, and yeah.
And I just thought it was so great because I had met you in Germany, in Weimar, and when I was speaking to Han, he knew exactly what the reference was. He knew it was a book reference. You know, he saw it as a completely, this is a very sensible act. You know, of course, Wieland has a towel over his shoulders, you know, and it's just these nice little connections that even though Han wasn't with me that day when I saw you, he was still there, you know. So,
yeah, he surely was. Yeah.
So good to see you again, my friend.
Yeah, great to see you. Although the occasion is really sad. Yeah. Sometimes I wrote a little bit with Han via Facebook, and yeah, it was really sad to read about
Today's more of a celebration, so
it is,
you know.
Yeah,
really
it is. Yeah, although I just met him for a short time, he really made an impression, and he was the first person I met who were barefoot shoes. That was impressive, and he said, "Oh yeah, I'm going running in it," and he told me about a jogging app with zombies, and actually I started using this app because he told me about it, and it sounded awesome, and also to meet him, and I don't know how long he was in Weimar. I guess it feels like he was a month there, but I guess it was just a week or something, because
he was here in Weimar a couple of weeks maybe for performance that we did.
Yeah, and we sat often on our balcony and talked till late nights about, in Germany we say, about God and the world, about everything, and it's
good time.
Made a huge impression on me also, that he was the first guy I met who just left his job for doing something totally different, and that was really impressive. And
good.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
I'm gonna just call an end to all of this. One of the things that Han was particularly keen on was not making a fuss and not shouting too much about it. As you all know, most of you won't have really known how sick he was because he was too busy trying to make funny remarks on Facebook or on text messages, because that's exactly who he is. And you know, we've taken some time today to celebrate him, and I think that it's really important that we do remember who he was and not what it was that finally managed to get him, because he's had many crazy times with rocks hitting him on the back of heads, and I've heard a number of stories that I'm not going to repeat here because my mum and dad are on it and they really don't need to hear it. So I just want to take the opportunity really to thank you all for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure to hear so many wonderful stories about him. I'm going to share on Facebook for anyone who's interested. I have recorded this, bits of it, because I forgot at the beginning. So it'll be there for anyone who hasn't had the opportunity to watch it all. I'm also going to share a poem that my dad wrote, which is really lovely, and some words that my mum had written as well. And for anybody that wants to read it, I'll share the service that we had on Wednesday. We've got a document that has the service on it as well. So I'll share those on Facebook. But as he said, I don't want to be fucking memorialized. So I will be taking his Facebook down towards the end of this year, month,
Yeah.
close enough to the end of the year. So if there's pictures on it, please save them. And don't be surprised if he just suddenly drops off. That's me. I've done that because that's what he wants. But it doesn't mean that we can't all still stay in touch. And it's honestly been an absolutely lovely evening. And the last thing that I would really like to do is raise a glass, everybody, to my amazing brother, to our friend, and to a man that we loved greatly, to Han.
Han. Lovely.
So thank you, everybody. We're going to shut it down so we don't have that awkward, see you later, bye, catch you, it's good to see you.